Imagine a quiet room. Two men sit across from each other, separated by nearly 160 years of American history. On one side, Abraham Lincoln, the tall, solemn president who guided a fractured nation through its darkest hour. On the other, Donald Trump, the brash, polarizing figure whose rise to the presidency marked a new era of American politics. The question is not who would win a debate of words, but whose vision of America would shape the country if history bent for a moment and they could converse. Lincoln begins, his voice measured, almost somber. He speaks of union. "A house divided against itself cannot stand," he says, the words echoing from Gettysburg to the present. His America is moral, bound by principles that transcend political convenience. To Lincoln, the nation's strength lies in its adherence to a shared ideal, a vision of freedom and equality, even if the cost is unimaginable. The Civil War was not just a battle of armies. It was a battle of conscience. He sees the United States as a covenant, a promise to its people that liberty and justice are not negotiable commodities. Trump leans back, a smirk on his face, and responds in his characteristic style, direct, pointed, almost theatrical. "America first," he says. "We need to win. We need to be strong. Sometimes you have to put the country before everything else, including old rules, old traditions, old ideas." His America is tangible. It's a place of power, negotiation, and spectacle. For Trump, leadership is not just about ideals. It's about results, loyalty, and influence. To him, a nation that does not assert itself is a nation at risk. Lincoln's eyes narrow slightly. He respects strength, but he questions method. Strength, he says, is hollow, without purpose. What good is power if it divides the very people it should serve? If a nation cannot reconcile its own differences, it cannot endure. His words carry the weight of history, the experience of a country torn apart by war, where families were sundered and the question of human dignity was at stake. Lincoln's America is built on unity, on the belief that a nation is measured not only by its victories, but by its ability to uphold justice. Trump counters with a story, a familiar tactic. "Look, I built things. I ran businesses. I understand the economy. You need deals. You need to negotiate. You can talk about unity, but if you don't secure your own interests, no one respects you. America has to be strong first. Then we can talk about morals." He gestures with his hands, punctuating the performance. Trump's America is immediate, material, and transactional. Success is proof of leadership, and leadership is proof of vision. To him, loyalty and results speak louder than philosophy or history. The conversation shifts to freedom and equality. Lincoln's gaze softens. The nation was conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Freedom is not simply the absence of chains. It is the presence of opportunity, of justice, of moral responsibility. A people cannot be free if they are divided by prejudice or neglect. He recalls the emancipation of millions, the sacrifice of countless lives, the belief that liberty is universal. To Lincoln, freedom is a moral imperative, a standard by which a nation is judged. Trump nods but frames it differently. "I believe in freedom too, the freedom to work hard, to compete, to succeed. Government shouldn't tell people what to do. People should make their own deals, find their own path. We need strong borders, strong policies, strong leadership. Freedom means America can stand on its own, without being taken advantage of by others." Trump's vision is individualistic, a freedom of action rather than a freedom of equality. Liberty, in his eyes, is measured by success, influence, and protection of self-interest. Lincoln leans forward. And yet, what is freedom if it is not shared? What is liberty if it leaves the weak trampled underfoot? A nation that ignores the plight of its people betrays itself. True strength is measured not by the wealth of the few, but by the justice afforded to all. His words are precise, deliberate. They carry the weight of experience and the clarity of a man who has witnessed the worst of human division and the cost of inaction. Trump's reply is brisk. Look, I get it, but you can't always protect everyone all the time. Leaders have to make hard choices. You win some, you lose some. That's how power works. If you try to make everyone equal, you end up making no one strong. He smiles confidently, the tension between idealism and pragmatism hanging in the air. Trump's America is about resilience, strategy, and results, even if the moral calculus is uneven. The debate deepens when Lincoln raises the question of democracy itself. Government of the people, by the people, for the people. That is our charge, but it is fragile. Institutions are not mere tools. They are the embodiment of the nation's conscience. To undermine them is to risk everything that makes us America. He speaks of checks and balances, of civic virtue, of the responsibility to respect both law and precedent. Trump's eyes glint with defiance. Institutions are fine, but they can't tie your hands. The people elect leaders for a reason. If the system slows things down, you fix it. You make deals. You challenge the media, the courts, whatever it takes. The people's voice matters more than rules written 200 years ago. His argument is clear. Results matter more than process. The will of the people trumps the ideal of institutional continuity. Trump's America is dynamic, disruptive, and unapologetically partisan. Lincoln responds with a quiet intensity, and yet the people themselves are protected by those very institutions. Liberty without law is chaos. A nation divided against itself cannot endure. Progress without justice is hollow. Leadership is not merely winning. It is safeguarding what is greater than oneself. His words hang in the room, a reminder that leadership carries responsibility, not just opportunity. The conversation turns to rhetoric and communication. Lincoln's speeches, measured and historically resonant, contrast sharply with Trump's rapid-fire tweets and rallies. Lincoln's words were crafted to inspire, to unify, to challenge a nation, to rise above its base instincts. Trump's words are immediate, visceral, and polarizing, designed to energize, mobilize, and dominate the conversation. Both understand the power of words, yet their approach reflects a fundamental difference in vision. Lincoln seeks to shape the soul of a nation. Trump seeks to command its attention and loyalty. Lincoln's eyes soften. A leader must elevate the discourse, not merely echo the desires of the crowd. The measure of governance is the extent to which it lifts a people above fear, prejudice, and apathy. His philosophy is timeless, rooted in moral responsibility and historical awareness. He sees leadership as stewardship, a sacred trust between the governed and the government. Trump counters sharply. People want results. They want jobs, safety, respect. You can talk all you want, but if the economy is down, if borders aren't protected, if media is out of control, people don't care about lofty speeches. They care about winning, and winning is everything. His philosophy is pragmatic, transactional, and unapologetically populist. Trump's America is measured by tangible success, by influence, by the ability to assert dominance in a competitive world. The dialogue evolves into a reflection on identity. Lincoln envisions an America defined by ideals and inclusivity, bound by a sense of shared purpose. Trump envisions an America defined by strength and loyalty, where identity is tied to action, achievement, and allegiance. Both visions are compelling, yet incompatible, representing two fundamentally different interpretations of what it means to be American. As the conversation draws toward a close, the room grows silent. Each man reflects not only on the other, but on the nation itself. Lincoln sees the potential for greatness through unity and moral clarity. Trump sees the potential for greatness through power, influence, and assertive action. Both understand that the stakes are nothing less than the soul of the country, yet their paths diverge sharply. In the end, no winner is declared. The point is not victory in debate, but insight. The clash of ideas between Lincoln and Trump forces us to confront the duality of America. One nation striving for justice, equality, and moral purpose. Another nation driven by strength, results, and relentless pursuit of national interest. The question is left to the audience. Which vision resonates today, and what kind of America will ultimately prevail? As we imagine this impossible meeting, the lesson is clear. History is not static. Ideas endure, clash, and evolve. Lincoln's idealism challenges us to reflect on moral responsibility. Trump's pragmatism challenges us to confront the realities of power and influence. Together, in this hypothetical dialogue, they illuminate the tensions that have always defined the American experiment, the eternal struggle between unity and division, principle and pragmatism, idealism and reality. The room fades into silence. Time resumes its march, and the question lingers. In today's America, which vision guides the nation? The answer is not simple. It is contested, debated, and lived every day in the halls of power and the hearts of the people. And as we ponder this impossible conversation, we are reminded that the story of America is, ultimately, a story of ideas. Ideas clash, collide, and converge. Leaders rise and fall. But the questions Lincoln and Trump raise about unity, freedom, justice, and power remain as urgent today as they were in their respective times.